What's up, y'all? Tommy here, back with another video. Now, in this video, I'm going to be talking about 3 of the best bank accounts that you can get if you have a small business. So if you're someone who's running a small business, or you are planning on starting a business sometime in the future, then it's definitely a video that you want to stay tuned and you won't want to miss. All right, y'all, I got my notes here. I took a few different notes of just a couple bank accounts that I've been looking around at that I found that are pretty dope. And I'm also going to mention an account for someone who's running more of a traditional business where maybe you have to drop off cash, things like that. Okay, so the majority of the accounts that I have mentioned are going to be more so, they're going to be more so your, like online banks type of things, right? So where it's not, you're not going to be able to make deposits. So if you're running a business where it's online, where you don't really need to drop off cash, constantly, or you're not running like a brick and mortar type of company, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to use these types of banks. Now, the first one that I have is actually Novo Bank. I have done an actual full video review on this specific bank itself, which I'll link to down below. But I think this is great for someone who's running or starting an online business. It's as long as you don't need, kind of like what I mentioned previously, you don't need to be constantly depositing cash, then this is going to be a great win for you. The great thing about it is, like, first off, right off the bat, is there's pretty much no fees on this thing. Okay, there's no bank fees, no sort of monthly fees. They don't even have a minimum balance requirement from what I was seeing online. They don't charge you for receiving wires. They don't charge you transaction fees, ACH fees, which it's actually a lot more common nowadays. Banks aren't really going to charge you much when it comes to the you having to pay any type of ACH fees. You don't have to pay stop payment. To get a replacement debit card, you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay any paper statement fees. So they really have no fees at all, right? The one caveat is they do charge a $27 fee for insufficient funds. So if you try to ever, deposit something in your bank account or you try to charge something on the card that you don't have the money for, then you will have to pay a fee. But really, that's the gist of it. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that when it has to do with any type of fintech companies. Nowadays, like, fintech companies have kind of came into the landscape, and they're actually offering it's almost like they're coming into the bigger banks turf, right? And they're offering services that are just crushing really the big banks, right? If you're looking at like a Chase or Bank of America, things like that, you're going to be incurring a lot more fees. You're probably going to have to pay a monthly you have to pay monthly for that bank account unless you meet certain thresholds when it comes to deposits or amount of money that's circulating in the account, things like that. So that's why I think these fintech companies are great. So Novo Bank, they also have, one thing that was huge for me was that they don't charge they have free ATM access. So you can use any ATM anywhere in the world and they'll reimburse the fees. Okay, I think that's huge, because especially if you're running a business where maybe you're moving around, or you're traveling, you're in different countries, things like that, then I think this is going to be a game changer, this bank account. It's, again, no ATM fees. They're reimbursing everything. They're pretty much not charging you any type of fees. They also have a service called Novo Reserves, which it's almost like you can kind of, within your bank account, you can actually set aside different amounts of funds for whatever the reason may be, right? Taxes, maybe you want to set aside a portion of your profit, payroll, any type of business expense. You can basically use the Novo Reserve to set that amount aside. Now, this is actually, to be completely straightforward, this is actually a bank account that I'm going to be using. I even started partnering with them as an affiliate. So I think this is, just from what I was seeing online, it's a perfect for at least my use case, and I think it works great for a lot of other people as well, right? So that's going to be hands down my number one bank account I recommend if you're in a situation where you're trying to get a bank account, business bank account. Now, another one's going to be Lili Bank. Lili Bank is a business checking account with an expense management platform attached. That's how they position themselves. But one thing I did notice is nowadays, a lot of these companies have expense management accounts, right? I think I kind of see that's where the trend is going, is they kind of want to make it more of like a one-stop shop type of experience for you. And I think that's kind of like a lot of the fintech companies are just trying to make themselves more like a one-stop shop type of thing. I've even seen, what was the other company? There was another fintech company that had to do with like I think it was either like a charge card, or it might have been also a bank account, but they were offering to basically, they integrate with your QuickBooks, and then you could basically see all your expenses on their actual platform, right? So you're going to see a lot of the the fintech companies are going to try to do some sort of mixture of that. But now in terms of actual the pros of it, it's going to be the usual, you know, no minimum balance required, no opening balance required. They don't have any type of monthly service fees, and really no fees at all, right? From what they're saying, they don't charge you anything. Now, the one thing that I did see that was different from Novo, and the reason why I chose Novo over them, for my specific use case, and I think it'll probably fit it for a lot of people, is that they have sort of like what you're gonna see with like a typical, really any sort of bank, right? They're gonna have like ATM, they're gonna have like a network, right, of ATMs that they work with, right? Because again, this is like a fintech, it's like an online bank, right? So they're not really gonna have brick and mortar locations, but they do have a network of ATMs that you can use. Now, the fees that they have is if you use a network or use an ATM that's outside of their network, you have to pay $2.50. And if you use an ATM that's outside of the US, right, international, you pay $5. So that's kind of the thing that kind of kept me away from those guys is, you know, just if Novo's willing to charge me nothing for those, then, you know, I'd rather go with them, especially because I'm doing a lot more traveling. Like even right now, if you guys look at the location, I'm actually in Guadalajara, Mexico. I'm in a co-working space. So you can kind of see here a little bit. I'm on off like not really the rooftop, more so like their balcony. Kind of see a little bit, yeah, their balcony. So I really want to have bank accounts where I can, if I need to take out cash, I can do that without having to incur any type of fees. So that's really what I'm always looking for. Now, on top of that, they do have a tax reporting feature. They call it tax bucket feature, which allows you to automatically set aside whatever percentage of your income that you want, that you have based off whatever percentage of the income you have coming into the bank account, you can kind of set off to the side. Now, I think that's a cool feature. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Novo Reserve feature. So it's pretty similar, but it's a good feature nonetheless, okay? On top of that, they also do have an expense report. So you're gonna be able to you know, generate an expense report and kind of see where your money's going. And I think that's a huge plus as well, especially if you're going to be running a lot of expenses through this card. Now the cons is, again, the card is mainly for business use in the US, at least in my eyes. I wouldn't recommend traveling with this card due to the ATM fees. So I think that's probably the biggest negative I've seen of it. But other than that, I think it's a pretty solid card. Okay, so that's going to be my second option. It's going to be the card by Lili Bank. Another bank that I saw was Axos Bank. Okay, now it looks like they're going after like new or recently opened businesses. Okay, the pros again is no monthly service charges. They do unlimited domestic ATM fee reimbursement, so any ATM fees are reimbursed within the US. This was a little strange, but they do the first set of 50 checks is free. So if you're sending out a bunch of checks or whatever, then you know you get your first 50 of them free. And they currently do actually have an offer. They're doing if within the first 2 months after opening your account, if you can keep your average daily balance of the account to at least $2,500, then they're going to give you a free $100 bonus. Okay, so that is a plus if you fit that criteria. And the cons is going to be that they do require a minimum deposit of $1,000 to open the account. So you have to deposit $1,000 to be able to open the account at all. So it's for people who might just be starting and don't want to invest that much into the business. Excuse me, might make it a little more difficult for you. So you might be better off going with one of the first two banks that I mentioned. Okay, now this one I mentioned just in case you are in a different situation where you need to be depositing cash. I did look at Wells Fargo. They're a pretty decent brick and mortar bank. This pretty much, I mean, I have a credit union that I use as well, but Wells Fargo is going to be what I'm using majority for, for a business account. Now, I use it as one of my bigger banks, really because I needed the checking account to be able to get their credit card. Okay, so if you guys have seen the video, or if you haven't seen the video I shot on the secured credit card, I'll link it down below. So I have a business secured credit card through Wells Fargo, but they required you to get a checking account as well. So I have the checking account that I use. I don't really use it much, but I do have some income that's coming in through there, and anytime I use the credit card, then I just pay it off using the income that I have coming into that checking account. Okay, so the pros is going to obviously be, you know, you're going to have the physical location, so if you need to go in, you need to talk with somebody, you can do that pretty easily. They have locations all over the US. And the other pro is access to the secured card. So I think the secured card is great for anyone who's looking to build business credit. So if you're in that situation, then it'll definitely be something that's worthwhile to check out. The cons are going to be, of course, with the bigger banks, you're going to be paying fees. They charge $10 monthly fee. This for their lowest tier checking account, which is what I have. If you, they charge a $10 monthly fee unless you can keep a $500 minimum daily balance, or you can keep a $1,000 average ledger balance. So the $1,000 ledger balance is going to be for people who, if you are, you're paying off a bunch of stuff and you have a ton of money coming in the next day, then that's going to fit you a lot better than if, if I'm in the situation, the first one, right, where I don't really use the cash in that account. I leave it there so I can just meet that $500 minimum balance pretty easily, okay? And of course, you're gonna have to deal with, any other typical bank fees that they're gonna charge that you would expect from a big bank. So, late fees, anything like that, you can expect to incur those and then have to make, just kind of little ways that they can dock you. So just something that you want to keep in mind as well. Now, for people who actually have you're running an online business, I really wouldn't recommend this type of account unless you are looking for a secondary account. So as your business continues to grow, you get into a situation where you need to start kind of segregating your cash out. You don't want to keep all your cash in one account, just like for mitigating risk, and it just makes a lot more sense. It makes it a lot cleaner in terms of keeping track of your expenses and everything. So I think that, and this is kind of what I'm doing is, I think it is beneficial to have, you can use the online banks, but then you have a bigger bank that you keep, your cash at, where you don't link anything to that bank account. So you want to have a bank account where, you have expenses and income and stuff running into it, but you have another account where you keep, a bulk of your cash and nothing's linked to that other account except other bank accounts. So, for example, sometimes some companies might be able to pull money directly out of, my online bank account. If they charge me for something monthly, every month they're just pulling it out. But I have that other bank account on the side that no one is linked to, no one has access to, except I just used to transfer money into my operating business bank account, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'd recommend is when you would need another secondary account like that, or if you're just in another situation that I had, which was trying to get their secure card and they required that I have their checking account. So that's pretty much the gist of it. Okay. Now, that's gonna be pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope that at least gives you guys an idea, what your options are when it comes to different types of checking accounts or business bank accounts that you can get into. At least in today's landscape, right? Things are always going to be changing depending on what kind of situation that you're or what's going on in the landscape. Even with like the fintech companies coming in, it's done a lot and changed a lot in terms of what the landscape looks like now. Okay, that's gonna pretty much be the gist of it for this video, guys. Make sure if you be sure to like this video if you got any value from it. Also in the comments down below, let me know any types of other videos or any questions that you have down below. If you want to see a certain type of video, comment it down below as well, and I'll try to add it to my queue. And that's gonna be the gist of it, guys. Be sure to also hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future videos, and I will see you guys at the next one. Peace.